Hey, this is Judah Mantell for SceneForge Studio, and in this video I'm going to go over version 0.6.30. It has a couple minor improvements that I'm really excited about that will really improve your workflow, and I'm also going to talk about some upcoming features down the road for the near future releases. So let's jump right in. So one of the things I mentioned in a previous video that's now available is fully integrated undo and redo. This is relatively basic, but it will improve your workflow significantly. So rather than having separate undo and redo controls for the terrain editor, as you can see here we have a nice little lake scene, I can now move objects around, then immediately go into editing the terrain, then moving them back, and all using just the keyboard shortcuts or these buttons on the left. I can undo and redo basically everything here all at once, which is great. It's all in one place, so you don't have to go back and forth between different UI menus and things like that. So that's now present, and I'm really happy with that. Now, the other thing that was changed or added is the material editing menu, because now it has full support for two things. One, TGA file textures, which is becoming very frequently available, so I figured it would be good to add that. And much more fun, emissive materials, which is super great. So I'm going to import a model here just to demo this. We have a, here we go, this emission eye. Now this is a model from Sketchfab meant to demo that type of material. And while that's importing, I'm going to open up the Sketchfab browser so you can see this model here. Now when I have the model inspector open, you can see the different maps and material channels part of this model. So we have the base color, which is just the main colors, the metalness, roughness, the normal map, ambient occlusion, which I'll be adding in the future, and then most fun for this example is emission, which is essentially a mask, as you can see, about what parts should be emitting light, or at least giving the illusion of emitting light. So without any light sources, this area right here should basically ignore lighting from the scene and still be self-lit and illuminated. So jumping back into SceneForge, I'm going to import the model to the scene and set up the materials. So you can see here it doesn't have any materials available. That's because I'm going to set them up manually by going to the Edit Materials menu, as you can see here. It looks a little bit different, but I'm going to walk through it now. I'm going to add the albedo map, so I can go through, find my albedo, which you can see here. Then I'm going to find the normal map, which adds much more texture to it. I'm going to add the metallic map, which allows you to have really great shininess, as you can see here. And when you enable ray trace reflections, you can see we get this really great self reflections around the edge of the inner side of this bowl. And now we're going to talk about emission. So I'm going to add this emission map, which doesn't do anything just yet because we have to change the color and the intensity. So I'm going to turn down the lights all the way. So now there's no lighting in the scene, aside from some ambient stuff in the background. And even if I were to increase the intensity, nothing's going to happen, because right now the color is black. But if I were to click on this and set the color to white, which is default, or you can tint it any other color, as I increase the intensity, you'll see that the masked off part of the model, which is the center here, will illuminate itself. So even though there's no lighting in the scene, this section will be illuminated, and you can see with the ray trace reflections and ambient occlusion, it has impacts on other part of the scene as well. Additionally, when paired with some bloom, which you can see here, you get the nice glow effect around that emissive surface. You can see I can tint it in different colors and get some really interesting effects. Now at the moment this is really just an illusion. It's really just a shader trick to give the illusion of emissiveness, but if I move the object down a little bit, you'll see that other than this ambient occlusion, which I'll turn off for this example, there is no real lighting impact on the scene. It's kind of just for reflections, as you can see here, and the object itself. So what's in the works and should be available in the next couple of releases is a real-time global illumination, a screen space global illumination solution that'll give the illusion or simulate bounced lighting off of self-emissive materials. So if I were to bring this model over to my character here, you can see that when I enable the effect, the emissive surface now will actually cast light on objects. Now this is not available in this release. This is kind of just a show off of what is to come, but you can see that as I adjust the color And the intensity, we have really great lighting onto actual objects in the scene. And I'll increase the intensity just for this demo here. You can see with no lights in the scene at all, we now have balanced lighting around the object. This is a very exaggerated example, and you certainly would not want to set it up this high, but you can see it does work pretty well. Just like that. And so with that, that is everything in version 0.6.30. You can see it's some minor improvements, but certainly ones that will actively impact your workflow that I'm really excited about. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.